potentially a video record, of today's presentation. So the point of today's, webinar is to basically introduce you to how we've been able, through basically a case study, to implement an omnichannel strategy. So we will cover the principles, so the basics, and then we'll follow with a methodology we went through, and then a return, what was the return overall on the experience, but also on the investment that was made. So let me introduce you to who we are very briefly. So we have Michael, so I will let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Jérôme. Yes, my name is Michael Froment. I'm the co-founder, one of the co-founder of Commanders Act, and I'm running the company as a CEO. And I will have later on the pleasure to introduce more in details Commanders Act.
Okay, so in my case, so I work for Mazeberry, and I'm in charge of all international marketing projects. Last time we did that webinar was in Monaco, and we had the chance of having Mr. Louvieux, but obviously he was not able to make it here today. But really what was interesting, when we first did it, is the fact that they really have within their DNA everything that's about omnichannel. So let's just briefly introduce Cyrillus. Basically, they are a premium fashion and home decor brand, and they have a turnover globally of around 100 million euros, and that's spread around 60 physical stores, so in many countries in Europe, but also outside of Europe. And their turnover, their online turnover, is actually quite massive. It's of 32%. And because they are a historical, basically mail-to-order player in Europe, they have a strong, as I said earlier, a strong incentive and a tradition of having, a very strong CRM culture. So they have, for instance, been developing, softwares to have, a mutual order ID and so on for a very, very long time. And they've done it for the past 40 years, basically. And the way basically we got all the ROI with them, and that's why basically they accepted to share it with you today, is first through the data collection solution, which is Commanders Act, and I will let Michael basically present it now.
Thanks, Jérôme. Yes, so Commanders Act is a real-time marketing platform. We enable our clients to better work with data in a world which is more and more data-centered. Let's say that basically our platform is made of 4 key assets, or four key components. The first one is about tag management through our product Tag Commander, so that before the beginning of March 2017, Tag Commander was the name of the company, and we rebranded the company as Commanders Act in order to better position all the expertise we have developed since our birth in 7 years ago. So tag management through Tag Commander, data management, so what is commonly named on the market DMP, Data Management Platform, through our product Data Commander. Mix Commander, which is our attribution management product. So especially it will be one of the star of the presentation today, because it has been involved a lot in the case of Cyrillus. And the last one, Fuse Commander, which is working on identity management, so helping our clients to go from cookies to users, and so trying to build a marketing made for people and not only for cookies. So that's the 4 key components we are working on the market. In terms of facts and figures, you can see on the screen few figures describing the company. So basically we have a little bit more than 6 years of experience in digital intelligence. So working on the 4 components I just described. We have now more than 400 clients. We are a 60 people company, 60 to 65, with operations in 4 locations. Paris is our headquarters. Lille is the office for the north of France, where a lot of e-commerce companies are located. And then we have our international teams located in Munich, with Timo Fonfort, in Milan, in Italy, with Marco Frasinetti, and with Steven Delbecq in Amsterdam. So that's the way we work today. And let's say that our team has been delivered until today more than 1,700 successful projects, mixing all the expertise I just described. And we are especially working with 3 fields of activity. So the first one is retail and e-commerce. It's a huge part, 1/3 of our portfolio of clients. The second part is bank, finance, and insurance, which is also key components of our portfolio of clients. And the last part is travel and tourism. And then, of course, we can see on the next slide the different fields of activity we are working with. So you can see that we work with almost all fields of activities. Generally speaking, large brands or large global groups, because just the topics we are covering are universal, and the need for centralization is quite expected by the marketing teams. So you will find some elements. In terms of vision, what we try to achieve is a little bit specific. So all our clients are now in the context of digital transition, digital transformation, depending on what you prefer, and we enable marketing teams to be customer-centric. So to build a customer-centric marketing from acquisition to conversion, and in a specific context, which is one part of the challenge of today, the omnichannel context. So a context mixing web activities, web navigation, mobile interactions, stores, of course, and call center. That's why we are working a lot with banking, finance, and insurance, and that's why also we are working a lot with retail and e-commerce. And especially in the context of the today business case with Cyrillus, the idea is exactly to bring what you can see on the screen. So to help a marketing team, a marketing director, to see, to get an access to the global, the full picture of the customer journey of the clients and prospects he is interacting with. So it's typically, this slide typically summarizes what we bring to our clients. So trying to break the silos that has been governing during too much time the way marketing is run, and trying to show all the interactions between the campaigns. So could be digital campaigns, as you can see it on the screen, but also offline campaigns. And the idea is to spend more time with our partner Mazeberry to understand how all these interactions, all this investment, all these campaigns are interacting the one with the others to deliver performance. And to finish with this presentation of Commanders Act, basically what you just saw on the customer journey is about mixing or reconciliating the 3 components that are needed in order to debrief correctly the performance of a campaign today. So it's about reconciliating site-centric information, so trying to understand as well as possible the way customers behave on a website and all the signals they are sending through their navigation, mixing it with the ad-centric information, so trying to understand what has been done or outside of the website through the banners, through all the marketing and campaigns materials. And of course, the idea more and more since the revolution of programmatic is to mix all this information with CRM data and CRM profiles in order to stop debriefing marketing performance in a mass approach and trying to be more segmented or more personalized in the way we debrief the performance of combinations of campaigns. So that this pie chart summarizes quite well what was one of the challenge of the project with Cyrillus.
Awesome. So basically now I will show you what is Mazeberry and what we do. So basically we build upon the data that's provided by Commanders Act. So we are a decision support solution. That's really key to understand because we don't collect any data. Our goal is really to help you have a grasp of your entire customer journey and really to make sense of it, and then to draw upon it and really, maximize customer journeys, maximize, your marketing spend. And it's really crucial for our clients. Of course, you get dedicated customer support. So we really help you, guide you all along those steps. And it's really important to keep in mind that notion of steps, because what we will show you later on through what Cyrillus did is that they started, with the basics, and then they built upon it and delivered, they've seen and witnessed, a tremendous return. Just a bit about us, just for you to understand who we are. So we started around 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, and we've deployed a decision support solution that's really geared towards, helping advertisers. And we have now been monitoring more than 150 references, actually 250, if we include also a newly purchased solution that we've done, which is a merchandising.io, where they kind of bring more of the on-site understanding of optimization. But today's presentation and case study is really about Mazeberry analyzing the customer journey that led to the website. And also, one key aspect is that we've been tremendously successful at doing what we've been doing. So our solution has been deployed in 17 countries, and we have been awarded with huge awards, such as being a member of the French Tech Network. So now what I will show you is basically what is basically the impact of having a great analytics tool, and what we can do to bring value to you. So I will let Michael just briefly introduce that part, the first part, which I think is good for him to do.
Well, yes. So the idea is to capture all the information needed in order to analyze the situation correctly and take a reliable and a useful decision. So at the first stage, Commanders Act helps the clients to work in a context where all the information will be collected in the same way. So with a common technology covering both what is done on-site, what is done off-site, and enabling the reconciliation of the data. We will be working in real time also. So this will be can be useful in an attribution context, but it could be also very useful in an activation context. So one dimension that we have been focusing our attention on is being able to collect the same kind of metrics than the one collected by the ad server. So generally speaking, a marketing team is playing with an ad serving tool, a site-centric tool, and then campaigns solutions. And the idea is to build a global view of the customer by integrating all this information in a correct and a reliable way. So that's why we developed ad serving capabilities, not capabilities of serving the ad, but capabilities of tracking the ad, even when the ad is just viewed. And of course, focusing our attention on the real view, so the true view, as we say. Of course, you will be able to customize the channel's granularity, so to go as far as possible and to get as much in details as possible, and you will be able to get, as a consequence, a good and reliable foundation for attribution analysis.
Exactly. So based on that very granular data, what Mazeberry does is that we provide you with attribution and contribution analysis. And it's really key to understand what we've delivered to Cyrillus, as basically we've helped them take decisions. For instance, to know what are their acquisition costs, and build on that. Where should they invest more? Where should they maybe cut their marketing spend and lower the CPA? And overall, how to rebalance everything. Because the overall goal was to really understand how qualified was that traffic, and in the end, where to invest in to achieve the goals they had. So all along, basically, today's presentation, we are going to first show you what's at stake, so how to prioritize everything and so on. And we will show you how they laid down the foundations of such a massive omnichannel project. And it needed a lot of preparation. And we will, in a third part, show you how to launch the project, what are the technical aspects of it. And we will each time show you how it works on Commander's Act side and then on our side. And in the end, because obviously what Cyrillus did was awesome and was really, brought much our eye, but we will show you also how you can do more. And in the end, we will let you ask us questions. So what you can do basically, you can all along today's presentation type in, your questions, and then we will gladly, answer it at the end, if that's, fine with all of you. And if also, you have more private questions, maybe more related to your business, then you can just send us an email, and we will also gladly, answer it. So let's just start with maybe first having a look at how basically customers think, because I guess for most people, for most of you watching us today, what happens is that you're maybe all the time through your prism, so the prism of advertisers. And it's always good to keep in mind what your clients go through and what they experience. So one thing to know is that you're not the one in control of their customer journey. At best, you can influence what they will do, but you can never decide and push them to do something. And also, one key aspect is that they've not waited for you to be cross-channel. They already go through channels in a very fluid way. Maybe within your company you have silos. So because you have maybe a store department and then maybe a SEA department and so on and so on, but they don't see that. What they see is a very fluid thing where if they need to get information, they will get on their website, and then maybe they will get into your store, but they don't get the technical limitations that you are experiencing. Because for instance, let's take the example of a customer that goes into your store. He may not understand why he cannot be recognized as, with all the information that are very specific to him. He may, expect it to be very simple. We all know that it's not that simple, but they don't get it. And it's something to keep in mind when you implement a project like what Cyrillus did. And also another information, which is key to keep in mind, is the fact that they like to get as much information as possible. So they will always do plenty of research. And if they don't get the product that they're looking for within your store, whether it's online or offline, they will go to another, another company to find that product. And that's something that we will see, today is very, is key in understanding how we've implemented a project, the project we've implemented with Cyrillus. And so basically, beyond the data, what happens is that most advertisers have plenty of data. So they get a back office, they get a CRM, they get ERP, they get web analytics and so on. But really what is key is that the whole company usually has the same questions. They all want the answers to the same questions. So whether it's your CMO, CTO, whoever it is, they all want to know basically what the ROI of the marketing actions, where also they can maybe cut costs, because sometimes they spend money. They are aware that there may be wastes, but they cannot really pinpoint it or really justify why you should cut somewhere. So what we do, based on Commanders Act data and also on Mazeberry's DataVis tool, we help them know and understand that. And also what we help them do is to understand and answer, for instance, whether or not, their online and offline synergies are right. And that's where basically a data that's, properly gathered and rightly analyzed is key. And just one last aspect. So now, maybe more on your side, on the retailer side, you're all aware that conversion journeys are very complex, and it's kind of hard to analyze. And that's why, we kind of briefly put, the image of a maze. It's just because of that, because it's extremely hard to understand and to analyze. But something key to keep in mind that a complex customer journey, if it's properly broken down and analyzed, it will bring you tremendous ROI. And what happens is that for most of our clients, once it's done, they lower the CPA, and they're really able to have a tremendous return. However, what happens for most retailers right now is that the way they monitor the various touch points that customers go through is not really efficient, because usually it's based on last click analysis, whether it's in store or maybe online. They always kind of highlight what happens at the end within the last interaction. And that's why sometimes, print or text is not properly, taken into account, or display are not well taken into account because they are not properly assessed within a last click framework. And that's why also it's really important to, deal with silos and, really move past it. And, because at the end, what happens is that, the roadmap, the plan that, for instance, your IT department have is usually different from the one that marketing departments have. So really, that's why also it's really good to have a tool like Mazeberry that kind of, works in a plug-and-play environment, because once you've implemented, a solution like Commanders Act, Mazeberry can just plug into that and bring, extra added value. And it's really fascinating to kind of have a look at the kind of ROI that, our clients, really experience doing those simple things, such as, collecting proper data and really, storing it well and having it done it in a qualitative way, and then, analyzing it properly. And just by doing that, you get around, within the first few months of use of implementation, a lower CPA by up to 30%. And that's what we are going to show you in today's presentation. So as we mentioned earlier, what's at stake, the main steps of a successful customer journey, how to analyze it and so on, and then how to launch a project like what Cyrillus did. And what's kind of important to keep in mind throughout today's case study is that building such a project is time-consuming, but if it's done well, actually won't be such a hassle. Something that's key to do is to really start with the foundations. And that's what most people forget to do, is that usually what they do is that they keep in mind the final results. So, omnichannel, omnicommerce, and so on, integrating in-store data. They all, want to do that, but they forget to go through the basic steps, and start, with properly, analyzing their data, and then, getting something that actually makes sense. So that's why, we kind of briefly, put the analogy of the Eiffel Tower, because obviously, you want to start with the foundations and then build on that and get ROI, the ROI that you can expect from such projects. Because sometimes what people will do is that they will go into very lengthy and very complex strategies. They will design that, but it will take years, at least a year or two, to have ROI, and then people get tired of it and will switch to something else because they will lose a track of their main original goal. And so that's why obviously we need data that's properly, and tracked in a healthy way. So I will let Michael maybe first start with the data collection part, and and then I will show you what can be done.
Exactly. Thanks, Zero. So yes, as you mentioned it, data collection is the key point to start with an attribution project. So I will go fast on some elements that we already discussed, but just in order to summarize it correctly, we pay attention in this data collection stage to several dimensions. The first one is being able to measure in an homogeneous way all the events, all the channels, in order to reduce as much as possible the noise that could be introduced by the bad connection between different tools or bad reconciliation. So we track 100% of your channels, and we ensure very specific points that you certainly already have experienced. So the classical differences that could exist between the information registered in your back office in terms of conversions and the information provided by your campaign analytics tools in general. So this difference, this discrepancy of data is frequently a pain for all marketing teams that are not confident enough in their tool due to this difference. So we try by activating specific technology to reduce the discrepancy and to eliminate all discrepancies between what is registered in your back office and what is collected, your metrics, your campaign analytics metrics. So that's a key point in this data collection stage, so that everyone, especially Mazeberry, when starting to work with the data, to be sure that we are talking and analyzing true elements, true events, and not artifacts. Of course, we integrate also post-click and post-impression and true view, as we mentioned it before. And of course, also in your data collection stage, and the image of the Eiffel Tower was a good example for that, we are able, of course, to start with a basic data collection and to move to more advanced data collection processes by enriching your data collection strategy through different other channels. So we will see it in the schema just after. But I give the end back to Jérôme for the next steps of the maturity curve.
Exactly. So based on this layer of data that you have, that Commander's Act does, in a very awesome way, we build an extra layer of understanding through multi-touch attribution analysis. So here you would have a full understanding of your marketing costs. So starting from the beginning, from when clients start to be aware of your brand and so on, till the end when they do their final purchase. So that's how you get a proper understanding of how much your marketing action costs you and what the ROI it brings. And also on top of that, you get contribution KPIs and information that are very crucial. So not just about, for instance, the cost, but also about the timing of your customer journey, or for instance also what the role of your channels. Because sometimes what happens is that you get some channel providers, and in the end they don't really do what you expected them to do. So for instance, display will not actually work as an initiator in your conversion journey. Maybe actually it will work in another way, and that's something that we want to monitor. And that's what we help you through a series of KPIs to do. We can also help you, for instance, highlight the quality of your channels, in an acquisition strategy. And that's something that you will get, for instance, by looking at cannibalization reports and so on and so on. Another key aspect a key thing that we've done for Cyrillus is to integrate the last part. So basically, Brick and Mortar, and through the integration of Omnichannel clients data and so on. But that's something that we will cover a bit later on throughout today's presentation. So again, we're going to show you today, the basics, how everything works, and also, really the experience, the return on the experience that Cyrillus has gone through. So now we're going to show this to you, and really the technical side of things, and how we've done it with Cyrillus. So here is basically retailers' initial situation usually. So they start their strategy, and let's start with their strategy. So usually it's in silos, and as you can expect, online performance is fast growing, obviously, and stores, are kind of stagnating because people are changing their habits. And there is also a significant share of cross-channel clients, that go through both online and offline, channels. And that's something key to keep in mind because these usually have a higher lifetime value. For instance, some studies have been done, and something that Experian basically shared with us through a report a few years ago, that on an average, cross-channel customers spend twice as much as mono-channel customers. In the case of Cyrillus, it was 3 times more. And it's something that really, if you work on properly, can bring tremendous return. Obviously, something to keep in mind is the fact that not all clients are going to be, cross-channel ones, just because sometimes they cannot actually have access to your stores. They are too far from it. And that's something, that you need to take into consideration into your CRM. Also, sometimes you will have customers that prepare, that purchase online, and that's where, for instance, you will see strong, brand access and also a direct access. And last point is the fact that some online customers purchase what they've seen in store. That's something, quite classic now. That's still something to keep in mind. And that's basically what is going on for most retailers at the moment. In the case of Cyrillus, they had plenty of, properly gathered data. Obviously, through Commander's Act, where they've been able basically to, collect data and so on, but they also had, ERP, they tracked, basically everything. But what was at stake, for them, and also for most retailers, is the fact that they wanted to get past, the last click framework, because they wanted to really have a true understanding of their online performance. Most retailers also are keen on understanding, and really measuring the importance of offline, so whether it's print, text, and so on, over offline conversions. And that's where you start, having a sense of omnichannel analysis. Obviously, you also want to understand the importance of, your online channels and providers, and what the impact of it on your in-store conversions. Or, for instance, what the actual role of print, within conversions. Does it, for instance, kickstart or start, conversion journeys? And that's where you will have, for instance, more, information and more proofs of maybe a change in what strategy you're currently doing. For instance, if text, and so on, and print doesn't kickstart a conversion journey, you may want to switch to something else, like email and so on, that will maybe bring more ROI. And also, another key aspect that most people want to do is they want to understand how online and offline interact, within an omnichannel strategy, within an omnichannel customer journey. And all in all, the ultimate goal is to really, optimize and really maximize the ROI and also the marketing spends that are linked to having, cross-channel customer journeys. And something key, in implementing a project like this is to have a look at the strengths that you have in order, to better highlight what you need to work on. In the case of Cyrillus, it was, really an ideal candidate for such a project because they had long, been tracking that data, that really important data, because they are a traditional mail-to-order a player in the industry. So let's start first with online. They obviously had a very reliable tracking on their website, and they had, post-click, post-impression analysis, switched on. And also, in terms of what was done in store, they had everyone on board. So everyone was really happy to join, really the in-store digitization, and also, implementing cross-channel services. And all in all, when you think of it, it's a huge figure, but more than 90% of in-store purchases are actually identified. And it's something that's massive and a record in the industry. On top of it, you also have a very strong CRM culture, because as mentioned earlier, they are a historical mail-to-order industry player. They have always been keen on having mutual IDs for all their customers, and also they were really into breaking down marketing silos to really get proper information to analyze and so on. And also something to keep in mind, their marketing department was on board. They really wanted results, and they were not pushing for one solution on another. They really wanted the best. And all that got them a unified view of their customers. And now, basically, what we're going to show you is really how it was done through the technical side of things. So what we're going to do now is that we are going to show you how everything was done on the technical side of things through 3 key aspects. And basically, Michael is just going to show you, the technical side of things, how things were implemented, and so on. And then, how it was done on Mazeberry's side. So maybe Michael can start, with his part, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So the first steps that you can see on the slide is to, get the access to the data that is needed in order to debrief correctly the performance of your campaigns. So we are focusing in this first step on 2 components. The first one is about ad-centric metrics and information. So collecting the information coming from outside of the website, from all the interaction between your campaigns and your targeted audience. The second component is about site-centric information, so information coming from the navigation of the visitors on your website. And the second challenge is to reconcile all this information. So try to find keys that will allow to connect the off-site navigation with the on-site navigation, and also to address the challenge of cross-device navigation. So Fuse Commander is the solution that will allow us to build or reconcile the customer journey that could come from different devices, and connect information from the ad-centric part to the site-centric part. So Fuse is a kind of step inside the step 1. There's no need to work with Fuse Commander, but Fuse Commander will help you to better work on your data and get a better analysis of your performance. So through this intermediary step, which is Fuse Commander, we will then feed Data Commander, which is our main data platform. And Data Commander will allow you to share the information with Mazeberry. So we'll feed Mazeberry with the flow of data needed in order to start analyzing the attribution process. And that's all for this first step. I think we can summarize it like this.
Exactly. So really, the way we see that Data Commander is as a marketing hub that really shares all the necessary data to its partners, including Mazeberry. And we really feed from this data, and we really try to get as much information and insights as possible for our end customers. So we are always, checking, the valuable, for instance, visits. We get really huge information, such as, for instance, what brings conversions, how is it done? For instance, which visits are autonomous, in the way they work. Or maybe we try to draw also conclusions such as should we, for instance, increase our marketing pressure? That's something that you can get based on that first, layer of information through this marketing hub that's, Data Commander. You can also, for instance, check the role of your channels that I mentioned earlier to really double check how your suppliers are working. So whether they are initiating conversion journey, if they're working in the middle of it, or if they are ending it. So that's the first step, the first things that you can do just with this centralized data that Commanders Act provides us with. So often, we have, this analogy of, football. So what we help you, Mazeberry helps, on its database side, is to have an understanding of how everything works from the more, from the broadest, such as, understanding your customer journey, to, more granular information. So for instance, what are the useful visits? What is the role of your channels through, for instance, the segmentation and interactions report, and so on. So what we help you do, if you look at the soccer field, basically, is what channels initiate a conversion journey. Which are those channels that maybe you should cut your marketing spend on? So for instance, sometimes you will have huge investments on some channels, but you really have no proof of what they bring, and that's what we help you highlight. Also, what happens sometimes is you have channels that actually target the same people. So that's what you see with the two strikers. The one on the red, the one that's red on the right, basically is cannibalizing those that the other striker is also targeting, and that's overall what we help you do, and that's obviously based on the data that Commanders Act provides us with. So now we're going to just show you the immediate benefits as well for e-commerce, the e-commerce side. So how to say, we help you track and monitor what is happening on your data. So for instance, based on all the past data that Commanders Act has, we can, for instance, analyze what was done in the past that was right, let's say on summer sales, on winter sales, and so on, and what should be done again the same way, and what should be improved. So that's something you can do based on the combination of Commanders Act and Mazeberry. We also help you rebuild the KPI that you have to measure the return of all your touch points. So whether, and then it will lead you to whether cutting your costs and maybe rebalancing everything on some channels that are top performers, that really will bring incremental conversions, and that's something that will be quite massive for most of our clients. And as well, in the end, for instance, you can maybe decide to kickstart the launch of different kind of marketing suppliers. So let's say, for instance, Google Shopping or SEA. That's something that you can decide on by looking at all the reports we've shown you earlier. So now I will show you one extra layer. We will show you one extra layer of information that can be added to what we've shown you earlier. So I will let Michael introduce that.
Yes, so the two we already discussed about this this slide. Yes, the two new elements in addition to the ad-centric information, to the site-centric information, are of course CRM information and print and text campaigns. So why these two new elements? First, because Cyrillus is working a lot with catalogs, and it's a channel among all the marketing channels they are using to acquire and generate conversions. So it's important for them to add this channel as one of the channels that will be analyzed by Mazeberry. So this component is added to Fuse Commander in order to proceed to the same kind of reconciliations as the one we mentioned before, and will be fed data commanders that will be fed Mazeberry again. And the last element is, of course, about CRM information. So why is it so important to add CRM information? Well, just because your clients are certainly buying your products, not only online, as Jérôme mentioned it. Some of your clients will be omnichannel, some will be buying online, but certainly others will be still keeping the same habits and going to the stores. So the idea is to get a global view about conversions and being able to add offline channels in addition to online channels in order to get this broader view that we are all looking for. So that's the new elements of the step 2, adding the offline channels and of course prospect and customer data. And we will see in the conclusion of this presentation today what could be done in addition to what is already done through the CRM information. But that's what can be summarized for this step 2.
Exactly. So based on that extra layer of offline, information, you get extra information as well within Mazeberry. So what happens is that you can really get the benefits, of knowing, for instance, the role of all the channels within your customer journey. So whether they are initiators, passers, strikers, or if they, are not working with any other channels, they will be highlighted as being autonomous. And for instance, here we can have a look at print and text. And you can see that, for instance, if they are supposed to, they are supposed to initiate conversion journeys. But what happened for both of them is that they were working as passers. And, obviously those are channels that are quite expensive to operate and quite complex. And sometimes, what you can do through, having a look at this report is to really, maybe cut through the providers, that are not working efficiently, and also rebalancing all your marketing spend on top performing channels that are maybe more cost efficient, and that will maybe also lower the marketing pressure that customers experience, because sometimes text can be quite also intrusive. So that's basically the concrete example of what you can get by included offline channels. And now we're just going to have a look at basically what was the final goal, the ultimate goal for Cyrillus, and it's when you add bricks and mortar.
Exactly. So in this on this slide, we just have as a new element the in-store conversions that Jerome you can make appear, which is the last element that was missing in the way we were describing the project. So in-store conversions that could be arriving through the incorporation of CRM information. So what was the last step, the previous step, sorry, but that could be also collected directly through in the stores, in your stores. So basically, the way it can be collected is first getting the access to the in-store conversion through the CRM information that has the goal to summarize and collect all the information regarding the clients. But of course, you know that more and more the stores are connected now, and you have a lot of applications that can be useful for marketing people, especially tracking the conversions directly by connecting the tracking solutions with the equipment of the store. So that's what can be added at this stage of the project, and that will allow us to get a really omnichannel view on all the attribution data, but of course about all the customers also.
Exactly. So building on that, omnichannel data, you get obviously, extra benefits, in Mazeberry. And what was amazing, with Cyrillus is because they have, if you remember, a 90% identification of customers within stores. So, the more you get data at the beginning, the more, and the better, this data is reunited in an efficient way and so on, you can have a better understanding within Mazeberry. And here you can see that, for instance, 3% of the turnover originates from text, for instance, or is it 6%? Sorry, and that's something that's quite important to keep in mind. Same goes, for if you look at brand online, so which includes SEA and direct access. You can really measure all along those reports what's the impact of investing on those channels. So that's also something you can have a look at on the presence by looking at the presence rate. And you can see that, for instance, you have an 8% contribution of non-brand online channels on in-store conversions. And that's something, that will give strength to investment that you're doing when, you're in an omnichannel perspective. And something also that's important, is to keep really breaking silos, and that gives strength to that as well. In the case of Cyrillus, they were able to start on, online departments, on what online departments are doing, and kind of feed that as well into what stores are doing. And that's something that really has, pushed them to break those silos down even further. And also one last, key aspect is that through, that extensive data the Commanders Act has, we were able to build dashboards and reports that are extremely important for our clients. Obviously, that's something that people can do, but extremely time-consuming, and usually people will not, get enough, perspective on the data they have, in front of them. So what we help them do is to really get a step back, have a look at it, and take decisions. And that really will give strength, for instance, to some changes in terms of investments they're making, or maybe some cuts that they should do. And sometimes, it will lead to a tremendous ROI, such as, what Cyrillus has experienced. And, earlier we mentioned, what also is doable even beyond what Cyrillus has been doing. And that's what you can see here. So it's about, a data activation. And I think, Michael will explain that way better than I can. So I will let him do it.
Yes, thanks, Jerome. So yes, basically all what has been described until now has been done in order to achieve the goal of analyzing correctly and optimizing the campaign investment of your marketing team. So the idea was to get the access to the information, reconcile all the information, clean it, and then feed Mazeberry, that who will act as a data visualization tool and will help you to take decisions based on this data collection. The second step of the value that you could extract from all this process is about data activation. So understanding how your campaigns works is clearly a first challenge for marketing teams today. But then the idea is to use all the information that has been collected and all the knowledge you've got about your customers and prospects to optimize interaction with them. So the second part is about data activation, meaning using the information collected and built in order to feed your campaigns in a better way. So trying not only to analyze the performance of your current campaigns, but try to improve the performance of your campaigns by a smarter use of data. So in terms of online activation, so basically what I'm describing is about DMP, data management platform. And what can be done about online activation is listed here. So you can be, of course, feeding real-time bidding tools, DSP, SSP, CRM feed, of course. You could join alliance of second-party data. You could work on retargeting. You could also display surveys form in order to qualify and get more information, the missing information about one of your clients, one of your prospects. You can feed and interact smartly with your content management system in order to personalize some elements of your website based on this trigger that is, well, the data, the information you've got about one visitor. You could also start to work from, I would say, mass testing. Should I put my home page in blue or red, to segmented testing, and perhaps even to personalization. You could feed also your strategy of merchandising through a product recommendation, for example, and so on. And on the offline activation, same principle that could be used, using data as a trigger for action and not only as a way to get more knowledge. So trying to reconcile knowledge, understanding, and activating and getting performance of your campaigns through offline activation. So filling call center teams with list of people to be contacted, of loyalty program in general, marketing departments, or clienteling. So in-store customer experience improved through the combination of technology. So collecting information about your clients, and then allowing your salesperson in-store to welcome your clients in a better way through the access to more information. So that's the second part of the project. And what is really valuable for us, I think you all experience the same kind of situation. Marketing teams today have more and more things to manage, but they are not always there are not so many people inside each marketing team. So the idea is to try to go step by step. Of course, that's a pragmatism that can be found inside the Mazeberry team or the Commanders Act team, but also to start to reuse the work that has been done in order to find new ways of performance. And that's perfectly what we did with Cyrillus. So solving a first problem, a current and immediate problem, which was the attribution part, and then getting a step toward data activation by reusing all what has been done for the first problem resolution.
Exactly. So basically building on, data activation, what also something that advertisers can do is to integrate within, their analysis item-related data information. So, for instance, that will lead you to being able to, suggest, the right journey and the right content. So, with the ultimate goal of really optimizing your margins by activating, by really, knowing which channels to invest on for each product category, and in the end, to input your stocks and also your business goals within your marketing spend. So that's something that also you can kind of imagine, build on and keep as a goal, as an ultimate goal. But really, what should be kept in mind for today's presentation, today's presentation is really that you should start, by following steps and not, getting lost sometimes with a massive project. So really start with, small steps, get, your data properly, tracked with a tool like Commanders Act, and then, get it analyzed by, a solution like Mazeberry that will really help you get the insights that will be the most meaningful for your business and really help you get the ROI that you want. So that's basically the end of today's presentation. So I will, I think there's, how to say,
a quick poll. Yes.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah.
Yes. In order to finalize correctly this webinar, we would like to interview you through a quick poll on 3 topics. Well, the first one